You didn't find this video by accident. Something in your body reacted the moment you saw the title, didn't it? Not excitement, not fear, but that quiet recognition you can't quite explain. Like turning a key in a door you didn't know was locked. Here's what nobody tells you. The quantum field starts preparing you exactly 72 hours before a major timeline shift. Not symbolically, literally. Your consciousness enters a highly specific state 3 days before reality reorganizes around you. And if you're watching this now, you're already inside that window. The synchronicities increasing, the old emotions rising and falling, the strange sensitivity you can't explain. These aren't random. They're the precursor signals of a quantum breakpoint. This video will show you why your field becomes volatile before breakthrough, how to recognize the signs that your life is already changing, and the single choice that locks in the new timeline permanently. Your future self brought you here. Let's find out why.
You didn't find this video. This video found you. And if you're being completely honest with yourself right now, you can feel that something in your body reacted the exact moment the title appeared on your screen. Not with excitement, not with fear, but with that quiet inner recognition you can't fully explain or put into words. The kind that feels like turning a key in a door you didn't even realize was locked until this very moment. There's a reason this message is reaching you right now. Not last week, not last month, not during all those years you were desperately begging for answers, searching everywhere, trying everything. It's because your field has entered a highly specific state, a state that only forms 3 days before a major timeline shift occurs. Most people go through life believing that change happens slowly, gradually, predictably, in neat, linear steps. But quantum change doesn't behave that way at all. Quantum change gathers silently. It condenses. It forms pressure points in your energy field long before it erupts into your physical reality. And when your field reaches a critical threshold, when an old identity finally collapses enough for a completely new one to take its place, reality begins to reorganize around you with a precision your logical mind can't track or measure. That's when strange things start happening in your life. Synchronicities increase dramatically. Old emotions rise and fall rapidly without clear triggers. You feel unusually sensitive to everything around you, unusually intuitive about things you can't see, unusually aware of subtle dynamics you can't logically explain. This is the precursor to what I call a quantum breakpoint. The moment when the trajectory of your entire life shifts so sharply that you'll be able to look back years from now and pinpoint this exact period as the beginning of everything that changed. And here's the part that's rarely discussed in manifestation circles. The quantum field begins preparing you exactly 72 hours before a major shift occurs. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. The field starts adjusting your timeline 3 days before a reality-defining event takes place, because human consciousness needs time to integrate the frequency that will carry the next timeline forward. Your system needs preparation time to stabilize at the new level. That's why this video didn't show up in your feed sooner. Your system wasn't ready yet. You were still stabilizing emotional residue from the past. Still closing cycles you didn't even know you had opened. Still releasing identities you didn't know you were so deeply attached to. But today, the moment your eyes landed on this message, something in the quantum field snapped into alignment. And the universe does not waste precision like that. When something finds you with this kind of timing, it's never random. There's a measurable phenomenon in quantum physics called anticipatory coherence. It's the state a system enters right before a major transition. Heart rate variability changes. Neural patterns destabilize temporarily. The electromagnetic field of the body becomes far more reactive to subtle environmental cues. Spiritually, this feels like that sudden sense that something is shifting, even when you don't know what exactly. Emotionally, it feels like contradiction. Moments of unexpected heaviness, mixed with moments of overwhelming peace happening within hours of each other. Mentally, it feels like clarity and confusion somehow occupying the same room in your mind. You're not misreading these sensations. You're not imagining things. You're registering the energetic signatures of a new timeline actively forming around you. And here's where it gets even deeper, even more profound. You only see messages like this one when your future self has already made the shift you're approaching. Right now, in this exact moment, the version of you that exists on the other side of this change is actively pulling the present version forward through the field. That pull shows up as intuition, as sudden awareness, as the feeling that you're running out of time without knowing why, as the sense that something is ending, even when nothing dramatic is happening in your external circumstances. Your future self is the one who brought you here because it knows exactly how critical these next 72 hours are for your trajectory. You may feel like the timing is uncanny, almost too perfectly aligned to dismiss as coincidence. That's because the quantum field doesn't drop random messages into your path for no reason. It responds to frequency, not convenience. It responds to identity, not desire alone. When a message appears exactly 3 days before a major shift, it means your consciousness is being actively prepared to walk into a reality that was previously inaccessible to you. Think carefully about the moments leading up to today. Something in you has been growing restless lately, hasn't it? Something feels too small now. Something doesn't fit anymore in your life. Your intuition has been whispering to you in ways you can't ignore any longer. You're seeing repeating numbers everywhere you look. You're dreaming more vividly than usual. You're waking up feeling different each morning, even if you can't articulate exactly why. These aren't coincidences. They're markers. They're indicators that the old version of you, the version built from survival patterns, past conditioning, and outdated timelines, is no longer energetically stable. And when an identity loses stability in the quantum field, the universe sends guidance, not in the form of answers spelled out clearly, but in the form of alignment, of resonance, of recognition. This video is alignment, a signal, a mirror, a threshold. You're entering the window where the fabric of your timeline becomes flexible, moldable, receptive, not fragile or unstable, but open. And in the quantum field, openness is absolutely everything. It means the old coherence is dissolving naturally. It means the new coherence is taking shape. It means the path forward is no longer theoretical or abstract. It's active, live, unfolding beneath your feet right now. In the comments right now, drop one word that represents the energy you're stepping into over these next 3 days. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's trust. Maybe it's power. Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's something completely unique to your journey. Let that word be a declaration, a quantum seed you're planting not just in this space but in the field itself. What happens over the next 3 days will not be random. You're going to be given signs, choices, impulses, moments where you feel pulled strongly towards something unfamiliar. You'll feel drawn to actions that the old version of you would have questioned endlessly or postponed indefinitely. Pay very close attention to these moments. These are not coincidences, they're invitations. Because once a timeline begins to shift in the quantum field, your only job is to respond to what's calling you forward. The 72 hours before a breakthrough are unlike any other window of time in your life. Most people don't realize how much change is happening beneath the surface before anything changes in the physical world they can see. They assume transformation happens at the moment the blessing arrives. The job offer, the message, the opportunity, the call, the breakthrough moment, the sudden clarity. But in the quantum field, the moment of physical arrival is the final step, not the first one. By the time something shows up in your physical reality, your energy has already completely rearranged itself to match it. Right now, you're in the rearrangement phase. Your field is shifting faster than your conscious mind can interpret or keep up with. And that's exactly why everything feels so heightened right now. You're sensing the before without yet seeing the after with your physical eyes. This is what's called the threshold state, the emotional, mental, and energetic turbulence that occurs when your old identity is dissolving and the next one is actively taking shape. And whether you realize it consciously or not, your system is already communicating with the future timeline that's about to open for you. Quantum biology has a term for this phenomenon: pre-adaptation. A system changes before it actually needs to. Your nervous system begins rewiring itself in advance. Your heart field becomes more reactive to subtle signals in your environment. Your unconscious mind starts automatically shifting your attention toward things you would normally overlook completely. You may feel more sensitive than usual, more intuitive, more introspective, or more easily overwhelmed by small things. This isn't weakness showing up. It's calibration happening in real time. During pre-adaptation, your old reality becomes slightly more incompatible with your energy. Conversations feel heavier than they should. Your past feels strangely distant. Things you once tolerated without thinking now feel abrasive or draining. People you once clung to feel energetically misaligned. It almost feels like life itself is pushing you away from what once felt familiar and comfortable. But this isn't punishment or rejection. It's preparation. When the quantum field prepares to deliver something new to you, it must first loosen the places where your energy is still tied to the old timeline. And here's something most people never notice during this phase. During these 72 hours specifically, the universe amplifies your emotional contrast intentionally, not to test you, not to punish you, but to reveal which version of yourself is still actively running in your system. Think of it like a frequency scan. Every reaction you have right now, every fear that surfaces, every instinct that arises, every desire that pulls you, every moment of resistance is information. Your field is showing you what's ready to collapse completely and what's ready to rise and take its place. This is why emotions feel so contradictory during this time. You might feel excitement for no logical reason, followed immediately by sudden grief, confidence followed by doubt, peace followed by confusion within the same hour. Your mind thinks something is wrong with you, but what's actually happening is quantum coherence forming. Two identities overlapping at once, the one you're releasing and the one that's calling you forward into the future. But here's the most important part of this entire process. Your reactions within this window directly influence how quickly your new timeline stabilizes in physical form, not because you need to be perfect or never feel negative emotions, but because your alignment accelerates everything when it's present. This is why I want you to do something powerful right now, something active, intentional, and vibrationally significant. Drop a comment saying, "I'm ready for my next timeline," not as superstition, not as blind hope, but as a declaration to your own field that you're aware of the shift happening inside you and that you're consciously participating in it. Your words don't control the universe or force outcomes, but they absolutely do create coherence within your identity. They stabilize your frequency. They tell your subconscious mind, "I'm not resisting this change. I'm receiving it fully." That subtle shift in your internal posture invites the field to accelerate the unfolding of everything you've already been aligning with. And make no mistake about this, you have been aligning. Even on the days you felt completely lost, even on the days you felt disconnected from everything, even during the periods where absolutely nothing made sense. Alignment isn't the absence of struggle or confusion. It's the persistence of truth beneath all the noise. And the truth is this: the person you used to be is no longer the person you're becoming. That's why you've been feeling so different lately. You might have noticed random memories resurfacing from nowhere, sudden urges to clean or reorganize your entire space, a deep need for solitude you can't explain, increased dreams or vivid imagery at night, a craving for simplicity in all areas of life, a sense of being between two versions of yourself, emotional waves that don't match your external circumstances at all, opportunities appearing and disappearing quickly. All of this is evidence of timeline instability, the good kind. The kind that only happens when the universe is actively preparing to bring something into your physical reality that doesn't match your old identity anymore. There's also something else that happens specifically in the 72-hour window. Your intuition becomes louder than your logic, not because the intuition suddenly gets stronger, but because the logic starts losing relevance. It was built for your old timeline. It cannot navigate the new one effectively. Your intuition is the compass that guides you through the transition because it already understands the path your future self is walking. So pay very close attention to the subtle things over the next 3 days. The conversations that feel unusually important, the choices that feel weighted with significance, the instinct to move in a direction you wouldn't normally consider. These are micro-alignments. They shape the outcome of the bigger shift that's approaching. You're not waiting for the next chapter to begin. You're already inside the doorway of it. There is a version of you that already crossed the threshold you're approaching right now. A version that has already made the decisions you're about to make, already embodied the clarity you're seeking, already received the blessings you're manifesting, already stabilized the life you're preparing to step into. And what you're feeling right now, that strange pull in your chest, the restlessness in your spirit, the subtle pressure behind your intuition, this is not imagination, it's contact. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called retrocausality. The future influences the present. It sounds impossible until you realize that time doesn't actually flow in one direction inside the quantum field. Consciousness does. Every coherent version of you exists as a potential state right now. And when one becomes dominant, when one reaches critical mass, it sends information backward into your present moment. This information arrives as instinct, as synchronicity, as inner knowing, as emotional turbulence, as intuitive urges, as moments of clarity you can't justify logically or explain to anyone. Your future self isn't ahead of you on some distant timeline. It's beside you right now, broadcasting constantly. And the reason you're feeling that broadcast so intensely in this moment is because the future you're converging with has reached stability. It's real now. It's formed. It's vibrational reality, not fantasy or wishful thinking. When a timeline stabilizes in the quantum field, your subconscious becomes highly responsive to its frequency. You start feeling drawn towards certain actions for no reason you can articulate, repelled by other actions without clear explanation, deeply aware that something fundamental is shifting, even though nothing visible has changed yet in your external circumstances. You're not imagining any of this. You're synchronizing with the version of you who already made it through. This is why you've been experiencing so many contradictions lately. The desire to rest deeply and the desire to act boldly. The urge to isolate completely and the urge to expand socially. The feeling of arriving somewhere even though you're still in the same physical place. These paradoxes aren't confusion or mixed signals. They're signs of timeline blending. Your system is trying to merge two distinct identities. The one you've known for years and the one that already holds everything you've been manifesting. And here's the profound part that most people never realize about this process. The future version of you doesn't just attract you forward, it actively reorganizes the reality around you. That's why people fall away from your life suddenly. That's why opportunities show up unexpectedly from nowhere. That's why certain paths close while others open without any warning. That's why you feel internally done with things you once felt completely tied to. It's not random chaos, it's gravitational pull. Your future self has reached a higher coherence than your present self. And coherence always pulls chaos upward toward order. This is why you've been shedding so much lately. Beliefs, fears, habits, identities, attachments, dreams that no longer fit, relationships that no longer resonate, expectations that no longer serve you. You're not failing at anything. You're being calibrated to match a higher frequency. Think of coherence like a tuning fork. When you strike a higher frequency tuning fork, everything around it begins to adjust naturally, not because it wants to, but because the laws of vibration require it. Your field is adjusting. Your nervous system is adjusting. Your desires are adjusting. Your boundaries are adjusting. Even your self-image is adjusting automatically. This is why nothing from your past feels fully comfortable anymore. You're not meant to fit into the spaces you've already outgrown. You're not meant to resonate with versions of yourself you're no longer carrying in your energy. You're not meant to pretend your timeline is the same when your frequency clearly isn't. You're experiencing what mystics throughout history have called the pull of destiny. But quantum physics describes it simply as resonance, convergence. When the frequency of your future becomes stronger than the frequency of your past, the present begins collapsing in its direction naturally. Right now, that's exactly what's happening to you. And over the next 3 days, you're going to witness the first signs of that convergence in physical form. Not always dramatically or obviously. Sometimes very subtly. A message you weren't expecting at all. A thought that feels too sharp to ignore. A coincidence so perfectly aligned it feels scripted by something beyond you. A decision that feels heavier than usual. A sudden release of something you've held for years. A sudden clarity about something you've questioned forever. A sudden knowing that feels absolute. These are the first ripples of the shift, moving from energetic to physical. But let's go deeper, because there's something you need to understand clearly before the change fully arrives. Something essential. Your future self cannot merge with you unless you create space for it. Not physical space, vibrational space, identity space, inner space. You cannot hold the frequency of your next timeline while simultaneously clinging to the emotional weight of your previous one. This is why the universe has been subtly pushing you to let go. Not forcefully or violently, but undeniably. You've been losing interest in things that don't align anymore. You've been losing patience with dynamics that drain you. You've been losing tolerance for anything that pulls you out of your truth. This loss is not decline or failure. It's preparation. So, before we continue, I want to invite you into something meaningful. If this message is resonating with you, if you feel the truth of it in your body, hit subscribe and click that bell icon right next to it. Also, join our manifestation club on gogetter.au. This isn't just a channel you're watching, it's a frequency you're stepping into. We're not just learning concepts here. We're practicing new ways of being together. Stay connected to this community of conscious creators who are navigating these exact shifts. Let's keep growing and transforming as one collective field. Your future self lives in a reality where your nervous system isn't in survival mode constantly, where your intuition isn't filtered through layers of fear, where your dreams aren't limited by old beliefs about what's possible, where your identity isn't defined by who you needed to be in the past to stay safe or loved. And the moment you stop gripping the outdated version of yourself, the timeline that belongs to the next version rushes in to fill that space. That's why the next 72 hours matters so much. Not because something magical happens at the 72-hour mark exactly, but because you are energetically receptive in a way you rarely are. The doorway is already open. You're already halfway through it. Your future self is pulling you forward. The universe is reorganizing everything around you. And your only task now is to remain aligned with the version of you who's calling you forward. There's something you need to understand before these next 3 days begin fully unfolding. A timeline shift doesn't happen because the universe randomly chooses you. It happens because you choose yourself. And not in the way people usually imagine. Not through New Year's resolutions, not through declarations of confidence, not through dramatic external reinventions. The timeline that's forming around you responds to one thing, and one thing only: the identity you stabilize right now, in this moment. Most people try to step into their next chapter while still carrying the entire emotional architecture of their old life. They try to walk into a new reality with old beliefs, old fears, old patterns, old assumptions about what they deserve or what's possible for them. And then they wonder why nothing fundamentally changes, even though they feel like they're trying so hard. But the universe doesn't match desire alone. It matches identity. It matches the frequency you embody consistently, quietly, almost accidentally. It matches the version of you that shows up in your smallest reactions, not your biggest intentions. This is why these next 3 days matter so profoundly. Not because something outside you is being decided by external forces, but because you are deciding which version of you walks into everything the field has been preparing for you. Right now, you're standing at a vibrational crossroads. One path leads back into the familiar, not because you want it consciously, but because it's easier for the nervous system to choose the known over the aligned. The other path leads into the unknown, not the chaotic kind, but the truthful kind, where your future self already stands, waiting for you to meet them halfway. Your mind will try to convince you that the familiar is safer. It will try to anchor you back into old patterns, because that's what minds do. They protect what already exists. But your intuition, your body, your energy, they're already responding to a frequency your mind hasn't fully processed yet. And over the next 72 hours, life is going to show you exactly which identity you've been unconsciously feeding with your attention and choices. You'll notice it in tiny moments. A choice that feels heavier than usual. A conversation that forces honesty. A boundary you suddenly feel ready to set. A hesitation that feels like old fear resurfacing. A pull towards something that feels unreasonably right. Every single one of these micro moments is a timeline fork. Subtle, but incredibly powerful. And what determines the direction of your next chapter is not the choice itself, it's the identity behind the choice. If you respond as the version of you who doubts, delays, apologizes, shrinks, or self-protects out of habit, you reconnect yourself to the old frequency automatically. But if you respond as the version of you who trusts, allows, listens, honors, moves, and aligns, even when you don't have all the details figured out, you activate the new one. In the comments, share one commitment you're making to your future self today, something that anchors you into this new timeline. It could be as simple as one word like trust, or choose, or allow. Your commitment matters because it sends a signal to the quantum field that you're not just passively hoping, you're actively participating. This is the real secret behind quantum manifestation that most people never grasp. Your future doesn't arrive because you ask for it desperately. It arrives because you become the person who can hold it. And your future self, the one who already crossed this threshold, isn't asking you to be perfect. They're asking you to be present. They're asking you to move from truth, not fear. They're asking you to recognize the moments that feel like your old self trying to pull you backward. They're asking you to choose the path that feels like expansion, even when it feels unfamiliar or scary. Your life won't change in 3 days because of an external miracle dropping from the sky. It will change because your field is finally stable enough to receive what has been orbiting your energy for months, maybe years. And the moment you embody coherence, even for a single breath, the universe responds instantly. Coherence is what collapses timelines. Coherence is what opens the breakthrough. Coherence is what allows everything that already belongs to you to actually reach you physically. These next 3 days are not about waiting passively. They're about aligning actively. So choose carefully how you carry yourself. Choose the thoughts you feed your mind. Choose the energy you hold in your body. Choose the version of you who finally knows they're done surviving and ready to thrive. Choose the identity that your future self recognizes as their own. When you do this, the shift doesn't just begin, it locks in permanently. And once it locks in, your timeline accelerates naturally. Opportunities that were stuck will suddenly move. Conversations that couldn't unfold will open. Paths that felt blocked will clear. You'll begin to feel a sense of rightness, a sense of being guided, a sense of being pulled by something that feels bigger and quieter and wiser than anything you've followed before. You're not stepping into a new phase of your life. You're stepping into a completely new version of yourself. And that version was calling you long before this video appeared on your screen. That's why you're here right now. That's why you're hearing this message. That's why you feel the truth of it vibrating in your body. And listen, if this message hit you differently, if something inside you shifted while watching, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's someone who's been feeling stuck between versions of themselves. Maybe it's someone who keeps saying they feel different but can't explain why. For you, it might just be sharing a link. But for them, it could be the exact confirmation they've been waiting for. By sharing, you're spreading this frequency further. And that energy will absolutely come back to support what you're manifesting right now. Your future is already in motion. You are the one who decides how quickly it arrives in physical form. If you're ready to stabilize this new identity completely, not just feel it occasionally, but embody it, strengthen it, ground it, and let it become your new baseline reality, then this is your moment to say yes to the work that aligns your nervous system, your field, your consciousness, and your frequency permanently. Everything you need to close this year with absolute clarity and step into 2026 as your most aligned self is inside the Quantum Rebirth Transformation Guide. This is the ebook I designed specifically to help you release what no longer serves you, reset your frequency at the deepest level, and activate the identity that's been quietly waiting to emerge. If this video stirred something real in you, the book is your next step. You'll find the link waiting in the pinned comment below. If your intuition is nudging you toward it right now, trust that pull. Not by force, not by fear, but by resonance. Your next reality is already on its way to you. Meet it halfway.